Right, they're green. So we are live. So you can do.
I've got to add Tom to the stage before we start. A good evening. Well, first of all, good evening to everybody. Welcome to the Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die, where we should all be celebrating a fantastic win where we come from behind once again to beat what I thought was a very, very good Aston Villa side by 4-1. We have a lot to get through. Team selection, tactics, substitutions, injuries, and some pretty wonderful goals as well. So without further ado, a very good evening to Zookeeper Tom, back again. Welcome to you tonight, Tom.
Hello.
Thanks
for having me back.
Regular Adrian.
Yeah.
Good evening.
I'm happy. I'm back from the ground. I met Tom's dad at the ground. Wins. I'm pleased you've got a show where you've got a win under your belt, Ian, because the last one wasn't so hot. Or the last couple of things, I'm not sure.
Oh well, yeah, and I mean, I take the defeats hard. Still take the defeats hard.
So do I.
Sometimes, Brighton was really bad. Just the way we capitulated, having played so brilliantly. Palace was just atrocious. We've got some more guests coming on later. I've got Soren coming on. I've got Jose coming on as well. They're busy doing one or two other things, but we'll start the show anyway. I don't want to start it too late.
Want to go through the chat? Welcome the chat.
He's telling Granny how to suck eggs. Funny enough.
Sorry.
It's not. This is my first time hosting a show. So
sorry, Ian. Sorry.
My grandpa Adrian has to tell me what to do. But first of all, good evening, Jess. Great to hear from you tonight.
Good evening, Jess.
And Graham, you with us. Lovely to hear you. To see you. 3 beautiful points and ready to enjoy ourselves for Ipswich. I thought we were playing Forest next week. Maybe I've got that wrong.
Ipswich.
It's Ipswich. Is it? Sorry, right. I picked up something wrong. Queen Ellie Bergvall tonight. He's got splinters on his bum, Ellie, but welcome. I know you've got a sore throat, so can't be on tonight, but great to see you in the chat. And it looks like there's a women's takeover tonight because Nita's there as well. And a very good evening to you. Although, where are you? You're not in the UK, are you, Nita? Can't remember. Kev Clark, Zookeeper Tom's daddy. He'll be happy as well. Paul, good evening to you, Paul. And I'm Ipswich at home next week. And that's the chat caught up. A few of you, please do hit the like button and the subscribe button. It does help us enormously. But let's start up. We've got a lot of things on the banners here. So let me talk about where I wanted to start, which was the team sort of been picking itself, but Van der Ven was injured, so Dragusin came in. But he went, instead of going with Maddison, Kulusevski, and maybe Bentancur, he went with Sarr, Bentancur, and Kulusevski. And I put there, Tom, more legs, less creativity.
Yeah, I mean, Sarr had earned his place in the team, hadn't he? Really, I mean, he's made a difference in a lot of games where he's come on from the bench. His energy, he just kept going and going today as well, which was brilliant to see. And I think the only reason why he came off early against City was, one, maybe with this fixture in mind, but two, he was on a yellow card and was was a bit vulnerable. So, and talking about big decisions, dropping Maddison, that is a big decision. He's our number 10. He's our big money signing that we made after Kane leaving. To leave him out and rightly leave him out as well will hopefully give Maddison a kick up the bum, but shows that, Ange isn't scared to make those big decisions as well.
No, sure. Adrian, I mean, my sort of thinking was maybe you've got McGinn, you've got Tielemans, and you've got an armour in there, if I pronounce that properly. And that was probably the three that would go man for man against them, where he thought, Ange thought, we'll have too much for them. Those three will have too much for that really good engine room at Aston Villa.
Yeah, I thought if there's any change to the three that he had there, I thought maybe Basuma might have started instead of Bentancur. That was all. Because he can get you up the field, and then like the other players can make space and you can create things like that. Ange went to match them because he knows they're a very industrious midfield Villa, and it worked. I mean, our press I thought was the best pressing I've seen us.
Well. Yeah. Funnily enough, Adrian, I'll let you carry on, seeing as you've made.
Yeah, it was an excellent
point.
Press.
You haven't seen this, I don't think. Excellent high press, winning the ball, but no end product. I think that was the frustrating thing. I thought the number of times we won the ball back really high, but weren't creative enough. And I was me thinking, well, are we missing? You can't have 12 on the pitch. Are we missing Maddison in that role?
Yeah, I would have thought. Before Maddison come on, I was already thinking that. I think, right, on the hour mark, if this stays like that, but then Villa scored, didn't they? They were 1-up.
Yeah.
So I thought, but we got the early second half goal, which set us up nicely, actually. So, and then we sort of just, our momentum picked up then from that moment,
Yeah.
And,
sorry.
Go on. I meant picked up.
I've got distracted by something in the chat, something really important. Because I asked about where Nita was. She's in North London, right? Fine. As my home bar was in Castellon 3 weeks ago. Castellon is 50 kilometres north of Valencia. I think I've got my geography about right. Where the terrible floods have been. I mean, it really has been shocking what's gone on there. I'm in Spain at the moment, and there's people doing lots of collections of cash and clothes and anything to help the people there. So I don't know if you lived there part of the year, Nita, or whatever, but I'm sure if you're listening, you'll know what a shocking situation it's been in that part of Valencia province. So sorry, I just wanted to come in on that. There's a few others just while I'm there. Two sides of the Spurs pod. That's Colin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Colin, is that you? Good evening, Colin. Great to
or
see
Jamie.
you. Yeah, there you go. And Graham, just a few people saying hello to each other, which is always lovely in the chat. We're all Spurs supporters and all on the same side, I hope. Peter, good evening to you. Yep, you've been on the chats this afternoon. 7:10 a.m. in Melbourne. You'll need a little siesta this afternoon. So, anyway, let's go back to what we were saying about the press and the end product. Tom, how did you see that first half? It had been the opposite end of at your end of the ground. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't there today. I was working, unfortunately, but I managed to have it on in my lunch break and on in the background whilst doing other bits and pieces. But first half, it felt a lot of bark, no bite. We was pressing high, winning it well, and then just couldn't get that end product. And I think a little bit of credit has to go to Aston Villa in terms of their back four was very solid and made it difficult. I completely agree in terms of like Maddison, that might have been a game where actually he could have like picked that lock, but then would we have won the ball back how he was winning it back if he was playing in midfield instead of Sarr? I'm not convinced we would have, because Sarr was doing a lot of second man press behind Solanke. So to be honest, I thought it was a perfect game for Maddison to come on when he did and actually keep hold of the ball, keep the ball moving quickly, and then pick those locks when he could. And obviously a great free kick goal at the end. But yeah, frustrating first half. Annoying to concede how we conceded. But I think our game is to wear teams down. We keep going until we get that goal. And then once we get that goal, we keep going and going. It's not get one goal and sit back and defend what we have. It's get one goal and get another.
Yeah. Andrew's motto at Celtic, I know he uses it so much at Tottenham, Adrian, was "We never stop." And
that was true today, wasn't it? It was true today. And when the press works and the opposing team can't break the press through the middle, or when you're pressing their fullbacks and goalkeepers, and if they, even though Anna young, our fullbacks, we've got a bit more quality on the ball with our players, I think, at the back, and we were forcing them to kick it, and that's what you want, because they kick it long, you recycle the ball and you go again, and you keep repeating the process. Obviously, if they get an out ball, then it can be a bit of a problem if it's on one of the wings and that, which they did get down the flanks a few times, but I don't recall Vicario making a save.
No. Were you concerned though that despite the fact we were winning the ball that high up the pitch, we really weren't creating anything, really anything much at all?
Well, I said to the guy next to me, the regular guys next to me, I said to him, this is going to be the same as a lot of games. I said, we're going to win this game in the last 20 minutes because we're going to keep going. We're not going to stop. And the amount of times that has happened in the past, that late in a game we score goals, right? This isn't an accident, You're sort of wearing the opposition down. Even though they're defending, and this part of it is to wear them down. Against a different team, this is where Ange got it wrong. I thought against Brighton and Palace, we should have gone with a similar midfield. And then when you got different teams, if you're playing someone like Nottingham Forest who play a low block and a counter-attacking game, you can put Maddison in as your midfield to pick the lock, because they're not going to give you the problems that a dynamic midfield that Villa have got are going to give you, are they? So I just thought, no, he got it right. I thought he got everything right today, subs right and everything.
Well, I'll come on to all that, and I'm going to come on to that as well, because there's a few contenders, but I think we're probably all on the same hymn sheet as opposed to about who that was. But we'll come back to that at the end of the towards the end of the discussion on the game. Soren, good evening. Welcome to you. Did you manage to see the game today?
I did. But first half was a little bit sketchy. I thought we was always in the game. Just didn't play fantastic. Well, we had a good bit of the ball, but we just didn't look like we were ever going to score.
No.
Second half, exactly what we said the other week against Bournemouth. Game of two halves. Absolutely bossed it in the second half. Came out, and this is the discussion was having earlier on the Irish lads, that we don't come out firing at the beginning, but yet the second half we can come out like that, and it's just mind baffling. But I thought the second half today showed exactly what Ange ball is.
I'm gonna stop you, not because I'm rude, although I am.
Sorry, have I jumped the crap?
We'll get to it, and I know you missed the beginning of the show, so I just wanted to, introduce you and get you on. But we're still talking about the first half. Tom, I'll bring you back in, and then we'll go round. No, it was that one I wanted to touch first. One of the criticisms of Ange Ball is that sometimes we're too easy to play against, and I just felt on the times again we lost possession of the ball. 2 or 3 passes and they were really threatening our area, and it was still, despite the fact we had those 3 runners, it was still too easy for them to get in behind us.
I think with that though, Ian, it feels to me, because I agree, but I feel like it's the risk reward of the style we're playing. The reason why it's easy to pass through us is because we're pressing so high. So if that initial press is bypassed, then there's not much there. Like, we don't really have a defensive midfielder. You could argue Basuma, maybe Bentancur, he likes a bit of a challenge and stuff, but they're not they're not true number 6s. They're number 8s playing as a number 6. But I mean, yeah, they got through us easily. But again, although they got through us easily, what did Villa create? I don't really, as Adrian said earlier, I don't really remember them having a shot apart from obviously the calamitous corner. But other than that, it really wasn't that much. There was pop shots from distance, and our players were making good blocks. So it's frustrating that they get through us. But we're not gonna keep a team out for 90 minutes of the game. They're always going to have an opportunity. It doesn't matter who you're playing. The team is always going to create something. And what the risk reward of pressing as high as we do is that we win the ball high up more often than not, and hopefully create chances. We weren't doing that first half, but second half we did.
Sure. I mean, Adrian, I call it Vindaloo football sometimes. We're going to score one more than you.
Well,
we're
go on.
going to score 3 more than you now.
Yeah. Well, we had the early warning sign when Onana hit the post from the corner before they scored. I mean, that come off the post. The corner thing, I suppose we'll have a discussion about this. I mean, like, this pushing and shoving in the penalty areas. I mean, the referee's got to have eyes in the back of their heads. There's got to be something's got to be done about this. Either you've got to be a bit stricter like they are in Italy, which I would like to see. Because I don't think the game, whether you game by it or the other team games, I don't think the game benefits from this, And like, you're looking at yellow cards or possibly penalties and sending offs and things like that. And I just think it is shithousery. There's been a lot more goals scored from corners now. I mean, so coaches all up and down the country have been working on set pieces, because last season, I think it was 151, and the season before was about 132. Before that, a couple of seasons before that, it wasn't even half that. So teams have really got their act together when it comes to set pieces. So, I mean, and like I say, they scared us, and then they got one. There was a lot of shoving on Vicario before that. I actually thought it was a foul. I discussed it earlier. You didn't beforehand.
Sure.
Because I thought the player really backed into Vicario, but that was sort of as the ball was coming into the air. I don't know how you guys see that. Well, I thought it was a foul.
It's a difficult one, because I've as a player, I've played as a striker where I was the guy trying to put off the keeper, and I've also played as a keeper where it was annoying having that player there. It's difficult. Obviously, just pushing and shoving. But the one thing that really confused me is Rodgers was standing on Vicario, pushing and shoving him. Not a single Spurs player went to help him out. Like, why is someone not just getting in between them and getting them away? Why are we leaving Rodgers unmarked? Because then when the ball inevitably drops in that area, after Vicario actually makes a really good reactionary save from the deflection off of Bentancur, Rodgers is standing there all on his own. It's just that is baffling to me.
I think at one point, I think at one point there was another player in there. I can't remember who it was, whether it was Solanke or somebody else, but at one point there was another player pushing one of their other players away. So
Johnson,
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So there was 2 of them that are around Vicario in on that corner. Johnson got in between and was getting rid of one, and then the other one was just left unattended by us. And then Udogie, again, falling asleep a little bit, doesn't go to cover the unmarked man. But all of that being said, for all of my wacky waving inflatable arm tube guy impressions, I think, of Vicario at corners, we've only conceded from 3 this year.
Yeah, is it 3? Is it? Yeah, we were asking about that.
That's not bad at all.
I mean, my point about that is that I actually thought that some of the free kicks were corners we've conceded. I think the defending has been really, really poor. But I thought this one, that's why I put it in, well worked or badly defended. I mean, the player made a little, I can't remember who it was that got the flick on, but just made a little run. It wasn't as if you could say, oh, someone should have tracked that run. He got a nice little flick on, it could have
Ian,
fallen to anybody.
That flick on came from Porro.
I'm going to say it was our own player, yeah.
It was Porro who flicked it on. So if Porro gets he's 2 inches taller and gets a better head on that, then that goal doesn't happen. So
Porro got an assist.
Yeah, it's a flick on from Porro. Well, no, a flick on from Porro, which hits Bentancur, which Vicario then saves, and it ends up at Rodgers' feet. I mean, there's a lot of very unfortunate things that happen to end up at Rodgers' feet. However, if your Dogie is tight on Rodgers, that's not as easy as a finish. You can say whatever you want about it, but I think it was quite an unfortunate thing. It was a really well whipped in corner that if Porro just got a bit more of his head on, doesn't get near our goal. I think you should pass that down as unlucky.
Soren, I don't know if you picked up. You were going to say something, so please feel free to say that. There was one Tom was saying about not giving Vicario enough protection. But I noticed in the second half, Dragusin, there was a corner they had in the second half where Dragusin was absolutely making sure that I think it was Rodgers again, just wasn't getting to. He just wasn't going to get anywhere near Vicario at all. I don't know if you picked that up.
Yeah, I think the thing is, what confuses me is, I mean, I'm just maybe old-fashioned in the sense of going back even a couple of years. You couldn't touch a goalkeeper, and now all of a sudden you can barge into him, you can push him over the line, and it's not a free kick anymore. I mean, I just don't get where the consistency is in protecting goalkeepers. But saying that, Vicario does need to get a little bit more dominant in his, I mean, can you imagine Peter Schmeichel being like that? Nobody messed with him. He didn't need players to come in and help him. And Vicario, I mean, what is he, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", whatever? I mean, the guy should be able to look after himself. And if somebody's pushing into him, then push the buggers back. Don't just stand there and let it happen. But again, like I say, to me, it's impeding his progress to the ball. So that should be a free kick.
You also need a strong referee in these games for these
But we've seen it in other matches.
And I thought the referee today, I thought he was poor.
No, I disagree. I kind of think he did all right because, look, I get there was a lot of silly fouls, but with what's happened in the past between us with Matty Cash and things like that, I wouldn't be surprised if this referee and didn't want to let this game get away with some silly tackles. So he was blowing. I mean, he wasn't stupid with the yellow cards, and he was very consistent on both sides that he gave free kicks to both sides. It wasn't a very one-sided thing. So I was quite all right with the referee. I think there was one or two where you think, oh, come on, you could have let. But if he lets that go, then some others go. But then on the other hand, there was one or two tackles, Bentancur's, where it could have easily been a yellow card, and it was just a free kick. So I thought he didn't have a bad match. Personally.
I just think if referees, if they're told beforehand, right, first time you see signs of that, just take away the corner, give the free kick. Give the free kick to the defending team, and then the attacking team then knows we're going to start pushing and shoving in the penalty area. We're not going to get the game by it. I don't like it. I don't like all that pushing. It's not football in my opinion.
I think the problem is that it seems like there has been a unannounced rule changed around the protection of the goalkeepers. So I don't think the referees are necessarily actually doing anything wrong. I think because it seems so cut and dry, like you were saying about all the set pieces that are now scored in comparison to a few years ago, that seems to have lined up with this now seeming being able to stand on the keeper's toes and elbows into the keeper. That's not a coincidence. It seems to be this like rule that, okay, we're not protecting the keepers as much as what we used to. And as you said, Adrian, earlier, in Italy, they still have quite a lot of protection. You even see it in the European games now. Vicario's got a few free kicks where we wouldn't necessarily get them in the Prem. So it's clearly a Premier League thing. But I wonder if, with Vicario, he's a fantastic shot stopper. He's really, really good. But one thing that Italian keepers are not renowned for is being commanding of like even Buffon, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You wouldn't say he was a command, like he wasn't ever coming out and grabbing things. He was an amazing shot.
He didn't have to in his league though, because it's a different style of football.
But that's what I think the problem is with Vicario. He's grown up in that league.
The thing that gets me, just to add on to it, and you can come in, Soren, or whatever, one of the others, but is in the penalty area, you notice, right? Any other area that's a pitch, you'd be given a foul for some of these things happens above the waist. It seems penalties are given from below the waist, but you can foul a player above the waist, and it's not given in the penalty area. And you'll see incidents that are let go in the penalty area that they're given on the centre circle. You'd be given a free kick for, right? I don't like. I don't
agree, Adrian, but that's been age old.
I don't like it. I just think it's like it's just. You know,
but that's. I think. How many times have you heard the phrase saying, "Or if that had been in the centre circle, that would have been given as a foul," but in a penalty area, it's not. Like that's been years. Ever since I've known football, I've heard that being said. So
that should be getting changed. I mean, if we can keep changing all these other rules, I mean, if you've got two players stood there and one chucks the other to the ground, that's a free kick. Well, it's not a free kick or a penalty in the penalty box. If you've got somebody actually pushing somebody out of bounds, which into the goal is supposedly out of bounds, then that should be a free kick.
You've got a problem though. If the ball isn't in play, it's not an infringement. And there's a lot of buffering.
No, it is, because you can still get a yellow card or a red card for doing something if the ball's gone out.
You can get a yellow or red,
but if the ball's not in, it can't be a foul. I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a corner about to be taken. Player standing there. Someone thumps someone in the face, gets red carded. The game still restarts with a corner because the ball's dead at the time. I mean, that's just the laws.
Yeah. That's spot on. But if you get a yellow card for it, then you ain't going to do it again, are you? So
absolutely. Let's move it on, boys, because we're going to get bogged down.
I just want to add one thing to that, please. I mean, with the pundits, when you'll always get one play devil's advocate, one's always going to say yes or no when it's a penalty because it's good for the ratings and everything else like that, right? The first thing I ask myself when there's an incident in the box, was it a foul? And these pundits can't. Now, if it's a foul, it's a penalty. It's that simple, And
I didn't think it was a foul.
Sorry?
I didn't think it was a foul.
I don't either. But again, I don't really level any blame at anyone. I think it was an unfortunate corner where we got the flick on and it just happened to ricochet off a load of people and end up at Morgan's feet. But I do think Vicario's got to do one of two things. He's either got to stop shoving back and just let them push him around. So it's so obvious it's coming one-sided, and then hopefully the referees start seeing that. The risk with that is if they don't give it, then obviously he looks like a fool. Or he's got to go completely opposite of that, and he's got to start just jumping with his knee up and jumping with his feet up, like just literally like clattering through players to get to things. It's got to be one or the other. I'm not.
The thing with that is, I mean, I would agree and say maybe today's wasn't so much a foul, but some of the ones in the past have certainly been a foul. But I mean, if he's getting pushed like that and the ball's about to be kicked, fall over.
Yeah.
Because if he's on the floor at that point, the ball, it would have to be retaken because there is a foul committed or he's not in a position. If he's getting pushed into his goal, I'd be stumbling back into the goal and making it, whoa, ref, come on. Yeah. Making it so you're not actually giving the ref a decision to make.
All right, I'm going to move it on because I think we could probably do a show on what is and what isn't a foul. First half, Jacob Ramsey really caught the eye, Adrian, I thought.
To be honest, I wasn't really watching individual Villa players. I've got to be honest about that. I'm sort of like when we get new players in the side, I'm more on Dragerson watch. I'm more on Soren and coming back and things like that. And I'm more concentrating on, and I'm looking at our shape during dead pools of play. Like I know you thought earlier something about 4-4-2, but I think I was more looking at our shape, thinking what I've seen a lot of this season is 3-4-3 and 4-3-3. I've seen. I mean, you could say 4-3-2-1 or 4-3-1-2 or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's the same to me, and that's what I've seen. So I was watching him. I was also watching you, Doggy, because I think he's been poor towards the end of last season. And the only decent spell he showed was away at Man United when we won 3-0. And he's been off it. So I was watching him as well. And then I wasn't worried about the midfield three so much because I know they'll put a shift in. You know what I mean? So that wasn't an issue. I was having a little look at Sonny. He did come up with a wonderful cross for a goal later on. Ange was still on his case, right? And obviously Ange wants to save him, right? So I am very Spurs centric when that game's in. I do tend to watch us more than I do the opposition. I mean, if you see someone who really stands out, then obviously you will catch the eye more, you know. But I didn't see that from Villa today. I thought they were poor.
You thought Villa were poor?
They were just a workmanlike side, I thought.
It's interesting. Tom, did you? I mean, I might move this on quite quickly. Did you pick up anything, Jacob Ramsey? I think him playing in our midfield.
Yeah, I think Jacob Ramsey showed what Jacob Ramsey's known for. He's good at picking up the ball and running forward with it. He's very good on the ball. Where that fits into a Spurs side, I look at him and I don't know what he is. Is he a central midfielder? Is he a box to box? Is he a winger? He was playing left wing for a lot of the game. I think he's a fun player, but I think we're at a point now where we need game changers, and I don't think he is a game changer. So I think that ship has possibly sailed. If there was any, I mean, there's two players when I look at Villa maybe three players when I look at Villa that I would probably take, and looking at them, that would be Rodgers, because he's like a Dembele but higher up the pitch. He just holds on the ball for fun. Onana, who I think we should have signed in the summer, and then Duran. But I mean, everyone's going to be after him, aren't they? So
not Watkins.
No. I don't think Watkins offers us anything that Solanke doesn't already.
Well, that's true. The other thing is, Soren, Watkins really fluffed a chance of 1-0 to Villa just before half-time. That, I would say, it would have killed the game, but it would have made it very difficult for us to come back if Watkins had buried that chance.
Yeah, if we'd gone to 2-0, then I think we would have been in trouble. But look, I find it interesting when we talk about teams like Villa. I mean, a week ago, there was a lot of talk of Villa was going to transfers, and there's no way we're beating any top 10 teams. And, once we come up against a good, well-organised team with a great manager like Villa, we're going to be in trouble. And I kind of thought that they looked quite ordinary today. They certainly, obviously they had a couple of chances, but they didn't look like they were ever going to run away with the match. I thought it was, we weren't playing great. They weren't playing great. They scored a lucky goal, or, however you want to class it. But we were never out of it in the first half. Had they scored that second goal, it might have been a different thing. But you always felt, or I always felt, that we would come back into the game. Didn't expect a 4-1 victory. I mean, I did quote 3-1. But, yeah, I mean, I just thought today, whether it was because we played so well in the second half that we didn't allow them to look that good.
I mean, let's talk about the second half. Let's talk about the second half. Going to talk about, before we talk about the collective, and also about the substitutions and how they worked so well for us this afternoon. I want to talk about the four goals, because I thought the 4 goals were all brilliant in their own different ways. But Adrian, I'll bring you in first on that. Typical Ange goal, really. Long, ball.
Yeah, I mean, Son picks the ball up. Son picks the ball up, then he drives forward, and that was a wicked cross to come, and it wasn't a balloon cross, was it? And then you had Johnson and Solanke both going for it, and Johnson just got there first. Fair play. I've been highly critical of Brendan Johnson, right? didn't want him at the club when he first came. Shows what I know about football, right? And now he's got what, 7 or 8 goals, is it?
Yeah.
And he only got 5 last season. So
Yeah.
and you're seeing a bit more in him. And I seen one game he didn't score, and I thought he had a good game, best game off the ball without scoring ever. I forget which game it was. It wasn't so long ago though, you know. And yeah, so that was the first goal. I mean, and that lifted the crowd. It came early second half, didn't it? So now we've got the bit between our teeth, as they say, and like we're going for it. And Villa they just couldn't cope with their press. We just kept forcing errors, which led to the other goals. They kept trying to clear their lines. We kept. I mean, Slanky worked his socks off again. He was chasing everything. I mean, and like even the others, the press was in unison, you know, and they just couldn't find an out ball. When they did get one out and occasionally threatening getting their half and moved down, it was rare. And like they never threatened then anyway, you know. They did put a scary cross across their box and all that, but shots, they tried a few, they got desperate, tried a few long shots which ballooned over the bar and all that, and have the crowd cheering, like, you know. And I just thought, these are here for the taking now. And I said,
let's keep talking about the first goal as we go through them.
Right.
Tom, just brilliant by Sonny, great run from Johnson. You know, suddenly it's a different ball game.
It's funny. There was a lot of talk in the Spurs chats at half time about taking Son off and stuff, and I was very much like, no. The thing with Son now is he's not the Son of a few years ago. He's not going to be at it for 90 minutes, but he is a moments player. Like, he could be terrible for 88 minutes, and then on the 89th he will do something that will win you the game, and that's that little bit of stardust that we probably don't have in most of our other players, maybe Kulu, maybe Maddison. But yeah, I mean, brilliant cross. He stayed out wide. Our wingers stay wide. They need to stay wide. That's the whole premise of the formation. But when the ball's on the other wing, that's when your wingers need to come in. And Johnson has got that down to a T now. He seems to always be making the runs into the right space. And again, Johnson, the only reason why people are saying that Johnson's playing well is because he's putting the ball in the back of the net. I don't think is playing any different to how he was before he was scoring goals. The difference is now is that he is scoring goals, and that it obviously changes everyone's big opinion. I still don't think when he's on the ball, he will never take on his man. He doesn't like taking on his man. He's a player that runs in behind and gets on the end of things in the box. So therefore you need a winger on the other side who's going to be regularly supplying the balls in the box, and Sonny can do that because he's got that ability. So yeah, I mean, perfect. And the fact that there was 2 players attacking the ball in him and Solanke,
absolutely,
one is even better. And not only that, it was the type of cross that even if one of our players didn't knock it in, there was every chance that a Villa player would have knocked it in. So it was the perfect cross at the perfect time, and set up the rest of the game.
I mean, sorry, you would think, wouldn't you, that opposition coaches, they would know that Ange likes his wide players to put in balls for the opposite winger to come in and finish. And yet so many teams seem unable to find an answer. So then we must be doing something right.
This is Tom from the chat, from the WhatsApp group. Didn't realise. Hi. No,
right. Sorry.
The sarcasm and the banter. So it's good. That first goal,
you've just got it. Yeah,
it is very typical.
And then I'm going to bring in some people in the chat as well.
Yeah. That first goal was very typical Ange ball, and that was the goals we were seeing at the beginning of last year with Porro and things like that, where the ball comes over, bang, in the net. And look, I get where Tom's coming from with Brennan Johnson's not playing any better, but this was the part of his game that we wanted, but we weren't getting. This was the part that people were asking for, There are parts to Brennan Johnson's game that I don't like. I mean, I don't like his lack of defending and things like that. For the style of football we play, it's imperative that he does that. But you cannot now disagree that this lad is doing the job he was brought in for, which is either putting the ball across or putting the ball in the net. And
100%.
it was, like Tom said, it was so funny because at half time, we were bantering about, what's Johnson done? I mean, I even said I think he's still sat on the bus waiting for Hans to take him off. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what's Sonny done? And then bang, the two players that we've all been saying, well, they need to come off. Perfect cross ball. Whether it was Brennan Johnson got there, Solanke could have got there, a couple of their defenders had a chance of putting an own goal in. And it was just like euphoria, and they could not go. That was the point. When we play like that teams cannot stop us. The only thing stopping us is us not putting it in the back of the net.
I think that's fair. I mean, the last season or during last season, the chances we created that we didn't finish.
I mean,
games we didn't win because we couldn't when we were dominating the games. Let me bring some people in the chat.
Hi, Spud.
Yeah. Sorry, Nita, I hope you're there. You may have missed. I said earlier. You said about, and you may have missed it. About you being in Castellon. I don't know if you've got friends there, and I hope they're all right. And I think Castellon, I said earlier, I think it's about 40 kilometers north of Valencia. So I don't know if you're around. Anyway, just let me know. There was one or two other comments, and where am I that I wanted? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there was. I love that evening. All right, you can call me Ian if you like.
All right, Chris.
But all right, Chris. Anyway, and Harmless Potatoes in as well. Adrian and the panel. Well, all right, it's Ian and the panel tonight, but I'll let you off as well. So yeah, big up to Chris, Nita, all the people in the chat there. Yeah, and Nita, absolutely that pass from Sonny. Graham's still with us, so yeah. Hi, and Peter as well. Now, have I got anything fresh? Sonny is one of our legends and always will be. I think Johnson took it off Dom to score. Yeah, maybe, but I don't care who puts it in. I don't suppose Solanke's sitting having his evening dinner with his missus or whatever tonight, thinking that B. Johnson's took the goal off me. But talk about the subs after. But I thought that second goal was just fantastic. Every bit about it. Davis always gets such a bad press, but it was a fabulous interception. A couple of passes. Decky's sublime little ball into Solanke. Solanke's run, perfectly timed. And that little dink of a finish, Tom. I mean, what a lovely, lovely goal that was.
Yeah.
Was it Davis? I thought it was Son to. I thought
no, it was Davis on the left-hand side. Romero had already gone off, but it was Davis that picked the ball up, and I think he won that tackle and then put the ball into whoever it was in midfield. I can't remember. Then put it to Decky, who put it to Solanke.
I thought it went to Sarr, then Johnson, then Decky.
Oh well, you might be right.
I don't swear on it because I just made rough notes when I come back. I mean, I'd have to really go and look at the video.
I think the point was...
But it was a lovely work goal anyway. It was a lovely work.
Tom, do you want to give us your thoughts? Because, again, you'd have got a good view of it from... I know where you sit and...
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't there today, which is annoying.
But
no, it was a great goal, and that pass that Decky played is the sort of ball that Solanke thrives off. Balls across the box and those little deft touches in fear, and that's what maybe Kulusevski. That's probably the one area that Kulusevski maybe needs to improve on a little bit. But he started doing it, and it's great. His passing into the box is not as good as Maddison's passing into the box, but I would say everything else about Kulusevski is better than Maddison at the moment. So, but that pass was brilliant. It was such a great pass, and the run was immaculate. Like running across the line, curving his run into the box, and then the finish. For a player that he's on a bit of a goal drought, if you can call it that. Lots of talk about, he hasn't scored in the Prem for us or whatever and stuff like that, and a lot of money and stuff. But he it was a great finish, and you could see the sense of relief in his face after scoring that as well. Like, finally, we got one, and then obviously shortly followed another one. But yeah, it's hopefully the start of many goals to come, and a great move.
Soren, that little pass from Decky reminded me a little bit of the touch from Dele Alli into Lucas Moura in Amsterdam for that third goal. That pass, that little touch, that 2-yard pass has to be inch perfect or there isn't a goal. And Decky's was just like Moura's, just a beautifully weighted pass into the player who doesn't have to break stride and bang.
It's when it works so beautifully, and this is what Ange keeps telling him to do. Look, if it doesn't work, do it again, and do it again, and do it again till it does work. And I think with Decky that he is on fire, but this is going to sound a bit silly. He's probably one of the best players on the pitch at the moment, but he doesn't seem to run the game when he's the only creating player on the pitch. I think he plays so much better when Maddison's alongside him or another sort of creating style player. I mean, he was great today. And, you know, people keep telling us that he can't play on the wing. Well, if you actually watch him, he floats out to the wing quite a lot. And Brennan Johnson then comes a little bit more central, and they're always swapping. So, you know, he's so unpredictable. But yeah, I mean, that pass was inch perfect. And Solanke, I mean, one thing I will say about Solanke, you know, he's been getting a bit of stick from some of the fans that he hasn't been scoring, but that wasn't. Obviously, scoring goals is the reason he's been brought in, but that is not the only reason. He was brought in because of his work rate, and if he didn't have the work ethic that he does, he wouldn't have been at our club, because he wouldn't have been the striker we wanted. And that's why we didn't sign an Ivan Toney. That's why we didn't sign maybe a Jimenez and Jonathan David, and because they didn't have the same work ethic as what Solanke has. And it's not all about his goals. It's about the way he closes down, the way he defends from the front. The goals are kind of almost, it's almost as if we're not playing with a striker, because the two most important people are the wingers, because they're the ones that we're expecting to score a lot of goals. You get the goals from the striker, and it's kind of like it's a bonus. But those 2 goals today from Solanke were, I mean, that chip.
The second one,
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you actually watch that and how he controlled the ball and how it was just a nice, delicate chip, it wasn't, you know, it was all measured, and that shows you he is a goal scorer. You know, it was everything about that goal was perfect.
Well, Johnson scored a similar goal like that against Coventry, didn't he? When we were battered.
Adrian Tom made a really good point about, you know, giving Solanke the ball in the right area. And once again, for the third goal, the ball from Richarlison was beautifully into Solanke, runs across, one touch, bang, goal. And they're exactly the kind of areas, if you look at Solanke when he played for Bournemouth, they're the areas that he scores in, and that's where we have to get him the ball. Exactly where he scored today.
Last scene, fans were complaining, we've got no one in the middle to finish these chances off. This guy's perfect he's perfect for the system. I don't think I've seen a harder working number 9. You know, and I didn't know a lot about Solanke before he come, apart from when they're playing us in a couple of games, they play us. You know, I go and look at lots of videos of players, and he's one that only looked at later when we were getting him. And Ange wanted him. You can see why he wanted him now. I mean, you can really see why he wanted him now. These 2 goals.
Do you think Solanke's a better version of Richarlison? I think they're very similar style players, but Solanke has a better touch.
I think Richarlison
works his socks off when he's playing that position.
But on the left today, when Richarlison comes on, when Richarlison was off his game, everybody said his touch gone. Everything about his game went. His positioning, his touch, overwritten things and all that. But today you could see some of the proper Richarlison there. He was receiving the ball on the byline and he was holding it up in awkward situations when he was surrounded and still being able to trap the ball and lay it off. Richarlison's not as bad as people make out. Whether he's got a future at this club or not, I don't know. But he's nowhere near as bad.
You know I've stuck up for Richarlison a lot. And I see but I just see I see Solanke being the player we hoped Richarlison was or is. Now, when Richarlison's on form, like we saw a little bit last year, not much of it, but we saw them few games where he started to score and he had belief and he was on form. He plays very similar to how Solanke. He runs his socks off.
Yeah.
He closes down from the front, and we always looked a better team when Richarlison actually played. But now, he maybe didn't score, but
Solanke's faster. To give you an example, right? Apart from if you exclude VDV, the fastest three players then are Odegaard, Johnson, and believe it or not, Solanke.
What about Werner?
Oh, sorry, Odegaard, Werner, and then Solanke. Solanke at 36 kilometers been clocked at. That is fast for a big player like that, right? And like he is very fast. So, and don't get me wrong, Richarlison's not slow either. He is fast. No. Right? Solanke's got you see it with Solanke because you think, and a lot with that closing, he's got determination as if to say, I can get that ball. He don't always get it, but then his feet's just inches or clawing away from getting it, you know. And you think, well, Richarlison be a yard back here.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, and you sort of said something about Richarlison without even really realising it. It was when he had the belief, and I think Richarlison's whole game is up here. I think if he's in a good place, he plays well, and I'm not just talking. I think he has lost complete confidence in his own body as well, because any little niggle he gets now, I think he is fearing that it's going to be a big injury. Like he's come off injured again today, and I think that's always going to be the big problem. My other thing with Richarlison is he, for me, is a winger. He is not a striker. He is a winger. When he came to Watford all those years ago, he was a left midfielder. Then he went to Everton. He was a left midfielder, and we've bought him, and we're suddenly playing him as a striker and wondering why maybe it's not quite working. Yeah, he's got that finishing ability and fox in the box, and he's played number 9 for Brazil, but they haven't got many options up there. But I think he's a winger, and actually the last 2 games he's come on as a winger and he's affected the game really well against City. He's affected the game really well today as well, playing from the wide area.
So but he's not one of these diminutive wingers, is he? Well, even when he was on the wing today, you can see he intimidates it because of his physicality. He might not be the greatest skillful player out there. I could see it today. Villa didn't want to face him. He intimidates them with his physicality. You know,
yeah, he's a bully. He has got a good touch, but maybe more in the wider areas rather than where it needs to be really together in the middle. And with regards to, like, we're talking about Solanke and stuff as well, like Solanke, he will press the ball even knowing he's not going to get it, because he knows if he doesn't get it then, the next person who's pressing behind him might get it, and then you're in. And he
Tom, I don't know if I've put up on the screen there Graham's comment. Solanke deserved his rewards today for all the unseen work he does off the ball. Yeah. I mean, it was so often when you don't see, you're not at the game, you don't always see. But when we went down to 10 after 7 minutes against Qarabag, I couldn't believe how hard that guy worked. I mean, seriously, he must have been knackered, but I think he does. I think he is a real team player. He's the kind of player you want in the trenches with you, because you know he's always going to give you a target. He's going to work to hassle the opposition.
Yeah.
You say that. I mean, one of the interesting things today, I don't know if anybody else picked it up, but towards the latter end of the match, Brennan Johnson was bent over. He was struggling. His legs were going at that point. So, you know, it just shows you how much it does take out of our players with the amount of running they've got to do.
I think the other thing that did it for us today was the fact that Villa come out. I didn't believe they were up for it. And what they were really frightened of, Pep alluded to it during the week, was our pace. And they tried everything they could to slow the game down. They tried everything they could with the injuries to slow the game down. And like it just backfired on them though.
Hang on, I got to stop you. I sacked the sheriff. Where is that? Where is Mark tonight? Mark was invited. I don't know why I have to justify myself.
You don't have to. Don't explain yourself.
But I don't have to justify it. But Mark was invited onto the show tonight and couldn't make it. So enough already, guys.
When I come on, everybody's asking where he is.
I don't know where he is. But he said he wasn't around, and he hasn't been in the chat, and he's not on the admin, running any admin on the. But you know, hey, give me a break, guys. Seriously, he was invited. I'll try and vary who comes on, and he was invited on tonight, and he said he couldn't make it, so he's not been sacked, honestly. So I sacked the sheriff now.
Go in.
I didn't, and nor did I shoot his deputy, by the way, just for the avoidance of any doubt. So right, let's we'll move it on because I also want to talk about the number of injuries. I mean, just sort of something that Tom said. Adrian, let's bring you in. I think Richarlison would probably have played number 9 on Thursday if he hadn't got injured, with Werner left and Moore right. If he hadn't got hurt, but he has got hurt, and I would imagine, knowing his injury record, he's not going to make the trip to Istanbul.
Yeah, but we seem to cover these things now, don't we? I mean, like when you're winning, those on the stock of those on the bench goes up, and why aren't those that have been left out of the match day squad been included? When you're losing, the team's crap. Those on the bench, the stock of them goes down. And like, why didn't he bring in the 5 he's left out of the match day squad? You know, I mean, but like we're on a rise now. I mean, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, these early games against Newcastle and Leicester and Brighton and Palace, you know, I mean, you'd think, like, whoa, we don't laugh. We could have been sitting top of the league, like, you know what I mean? Like, what points we've thrown away. Like, I know other teams can say that as well, but particularly for us, because it wasn't though we played bad in those games. We played bad in the second half against Brighton, and we were total rubbish away at Coventry. But apart from that, the football's been okay. We've had over 60% possession, which means you're not playing bad football. And the only team that have come to the lane and had 52% possession were Brentford, which suited us. You know, it actually suits us when people come to give us a game. You know. Yeah. So I mean, no, things are all we're looking good, and we're just getting a bit of rhythm and momentum together. You know.
I mean, I know we've blown a few points early in the season, but I remember Shankly saying when they got beat, you know, a game in November or whatever, and someone says, "Don't worry about what we do in November. Worry about what we're doing in May when the trophies are given out." And there is a way to go. You know. A couple of weeks ago, people saying, "Oh, well, you know, we're only a few points off the relegation battle." Now we're only 3 or 4 points off third. So, you know.
But what I like, Ian, is the fact that players that have come in that you think that are sharing being part of the squad have had their confidence boosted. Like Maddison's confidence would have been boosted with the goal. Solanke's confidence would have been boosted with the 2 goals he's got. We've seen Decky's been playing out of his skin all season. We've seen Sarr step up for a kid. I mean, he's going to be. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar, right? And like this is without looking at Bergvall and Gray. So, you know, a couple of wins and suddenly like everything is rosy, isn't it? You know, I mean, everything's looking good, and rightly so. Right? They've worked hard for these 2 wins. This team, you know, worked hard. You know, they've deserved every point or win they've got from this. You know.
But they need to work that hard in the games that they're expecting to win as well. And I think that's been the problem against Palace and Brighton is I think they had a little bit of a, we can turn up, play our game and we'll win this. So they need to get that out of them. And the effort that they've put in against City and Villa, they need to do that against every team.
My theory on that was I understood after beating Man United 3-0 why he would go in the same midfield against Brighton, right? It came unstuck, right? the game we should have won, it came unstuck. So Ange's probably thought, oh, you might have thought it was a one-off. So he's kept the same midfield again for Palace. This time we've lost and he's gone, I'm changing things.
Mm-hmm.
And like, right, that's good. I can stick with him when the decisions he's made. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, I thought, yeah, you've changed things. And and what we haven't done in the past, we've tried to go with a pretty way of playing, and when teams have crowded the midfield last season, we've tried to bring a Højbjerg or a Skip in to try and shore things up when things have gone wrong. This time he started with dynamic midfield in a couple of games, the same dynamic midfield. You could probably add Basuma to that if he's on form as well. But we know Maddison's a wonderful footballer. We just know that he can go missing in games, or he can be lightweight or ineffective. He's not going to dig you out a hole, is he?
Yeah, no. But I think the other thing as well, and then we're going back to the original point about Solanke and Richarlison maybe. I think Andy's done so much better in the last few weeks at making proactive subs and getting rotation in. And that's the one shame with Solanke and for Richarlison. If Richarlison can't play Thursday, that Solanke's going to be playing a lot of football, which with the amount of effort he puts in, obviously he's going to get. I don't think he'll get injured. He doesn't seem like a player to get an injury, apart from obviously after the first game of the season. Yeah. But like just how tired he may get. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Lancashire start.
Oh, funny, I was going to mention Tom, if you don't mind, I'm going to come on to the team for Galatasaray, because I think it will have been influenced by the injuries that we picked up today, and we don't know how long Romero might be out and Van der Ven's out and what have you. And your dad made an interesting comment in the chat about, I think, the last couple of games Davis and Dragusin have been together, and they haven't actually conceded a goal yet. But that free kick, it's one of the frustrations for me that we just haven't scored enough set pieces and dead balls like that, particularly from Maddison. But I'm like Decky, top, left foot, top right hand corner, and along came Maddison, and again, you'd have both got Adrian and Tom. Adrian, I'll bring you in first. You'd have both got a great view of that. Maddison just hit it so sweetly, and it really was the cherry on the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sweet finish, and you thought. And I haven't had a chance. I mean, I've glimpsed at the highlights, but I haven't really had a good chance to go and really have a look at it. I mean, it's a goal, so that's great in itself. I just wondered when I looked at the wall. Do you remember when we left the wall for Eze to score against us when we played Palace at home? I just wondered if their wall was. I just want to have a look, not because I want to detract from the goal, but I just wanted to see how their wall was set up for this, because it looks so. See, when they go and it looks so easy, didn't it? I mean, Tom, you look like you're coming.
Yeah, no, it's all right. So I don't think. So here's my goalkeeper head. I don't think Martinez's wall was bad. I think Martinez's positioning was a bit strange. But the reason why it went in is because when most players take a free, or when free kick is being taken, the referee blows the whistle. The player then takes deep breath, gets ready, does their run up, shoots. For this goal, referee blows whistle, Maddison's hit it, it's in. He almost gives Martinez no chance to even because Maddison is literally just, as soon as that whistle goes, he's taking it. The thing that was brilliant about it is that Martinez is obviously known for being the ultimate rattler, right? If you watch the whole sequence of Martinez of Martinez trying to set his wall, Johnson's standing in front of him, doing all this, waving at him, getting all in his grill, then walks over, picks up Martinez's drinks bottle, drinks it, kicks the post, just does everything. And as he's walking back, just before the whistle gets blown, Johnson's staring him out, and they're having a bit between them. And then literally whistle goes, Maddison shoots, Martinez is not ready. Everything Johnson should get an assist for that Maddison free kick, just because of everything he does. And I didn't see it, but I really hope Johnson went up to Martinez after that goal and sort of just gave him a little bit of something, because that would have been hilarious.
I don't think he did, but one thing I will say is, like you say, it was just one step and bang. Yeah. But there was so much curl on it. I mean, you can see Martinez just looked and he was like, he went and then he stopped, because I think he thought it was going wide and it just bent back in. It was sweet.
I think it was just, I don't think he thought anything. I thought I think he only saw the ball as it was literally like.
Oh, you could see him move. He went and he stopped, and you could see he kind of whether it was a stop because he just knew he wasn't getting there, or whether to me he kind of looked and thought, no, that's going wide. I'm not bothering. But he just bent like that. But yeah, I mean that with Brennan Johnson, I was like, what's he doing? And then you just think, yeah, I get where you do. And the tap on the post with his studs and that was just beautiful.
The thing I've noticed about Johnson is he's actually a bit of a wind-up merchant.
He is.
But he's all, if anything starts like late before that free
he's
kick,
always in there.
Solanke got knocked down and obviously refused the hand up from Carlos. And then it all got a bit funny. And Johnson was in there. He's always the first person there. And I like that about him. You know, you need that. But yeah, I mean, it was a great free kick. Not to make it all about Johnson, like Maddison. It was not just the technique, but the intelligence to just be like, right, I'm close to the goal. As soon as that whistle goes, I'm hitting it. Like he was ready the whole time, rather than doing the whole, take a breath, like set yourself, do your run up. He was just like, boom, in. It was great. It didn't need to hit it with power because it had the placement and the element of surprise. It was a top quality free kick, and hopefully something that's going to kick matters on for the next few games.
I mean, he's got it in his locker. It surprised me he hasn't scored more because he can take a good free kick. But I mean, I saw it, and my first thought was it's just too close. He's not going to get it up and down enough. But he got it round and round. I mean. Look, that to me, as good as the other goals were, that was the sweet one. That was the the icing. That was the perfection. Jose.
Yo.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Jose. We're just coming to the end. Nito, I'll just add that. We will be coming to that, I promise, because I think there's more than one contender on that. But we just really talked about the goals, Jose, and I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about the subs and Ange's tactics and how Ange's adapting this season to the football. But let me have your thoughts on today's game.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
I know. An abomination, I know.
Yeah, I thought Ange was clueless. I thought the players were clueless. I thought our tactics were clueless. How dare we go and score 4 goals and beat a rival? At the end of what do people want? I don't really understand. Right, so for me, I'm going to be straight off the dome. I'm going to say I didn't think we were bad in the first half. I just think that it was 2 teams that nullified each other as much as possible, and Aston Villa made it really difficult for us in the first half. Right, in the second half, we had our herbal tea at half time. We came out in the second half and we just overran them in all aspects of and facets of the game, and we won a lot more second ball in the second half than what we did in the first half. I'm happy. I was saying at half time. I did make a comment at half time saying, "Is Son injured? Is he fit? Should he be playing?" He's not taken cash on once in his first half, and then his first action in the second half, he sets up the goal. He then got taken off 5 minutes after the goal, much to everybody's surprise, and I include Son on that as well.
Yeah,
Son was
I'm gonna come on to that, Jose.
Yeah,
so,
I was surprised as well. But when you're talking about all the substitutions that you're gonna discuss, some of them I thought to myself, I scratched my head. I was like, what? But he got them all right, didn't he? He got them all right.
He's clueless, mate. He's utterly clueless.
But I did scratch my head at some of the substitutions. So,
we'll talk about it because I mean,
Adrian, was you at the game? Tom, you weren't there today, was you?
No, I wasn't. No.
But you were there, Adrian. What was the crowd like? Because I only asked the question because watching it on TV, when we were up, when we were scoring the goals, you could hear the crowd. But other than that, you couldn't really hear I couldn't hear the crowd at all on telly. So, and I don't know whether that's Sky turning it down or whatever. But what was the crowd like? Were the crowd behind the team today or what?
Yeah, they were behind the team because like the crowd. What was good? I mean, like because like we were sort of debating where I was sitting, like whether there was a foul on Vicario for the goal. there's nothing like a decision or a contentious decision, whether it's right or wrong or whether you're being biased. And it's good when the crowd are wound up and angry. I always like it when the crowd's angry about a decision because it keeps them fired up for the game, right? And they were fired up. I mean, even that Pratt, Matty Cash said afterwards in his quote, and you can see him in the media saying, like, it was the loudest he's heard it out there.
Oh, I was, Adrian, thank you.
Sorry, Ian, sorry. All right.
Absolutely.
We'll come on to that now then. You do it now.
I think it's really important because sometimes people say, oh, the ground is flat or whatever. But he said that.
It weren't as loud as Thursday. It weren't as loud as against Man City, but it was loud.
This is the loudest I've heard an away game, including away in Europe. So that tells you something, Jose.
Like I said, Ian, for me, listen, on Sky, I mean, I don't know if anyone watched it on Sky, but I watched it on Sky. And for me, there were times that when we were up and scoring and stuff like that, I could really hear us, really hear us. But there were other times in the game where I thought to myself, have they muted this so we don't hear it? Or is the ground really that quiet?
I don't know for sure, Jose, but I wonder. I mean, I'm right as high as you can be in the East Stand, but right next to the South Stand where all their singers are, right? And they do sing where I am because they all sing with the shelf side and all that, right? I don't know what decibels the actual players receive on the pitch, even if it's not as loud as it should be in some games. Because in some games, Matty Cash said that. But I mean, the loudest I've heard that stadium was when we beat Arsenal 3-0, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, you thought the roof was going to come off. Right? Yeah. I mean, that was the loudest I've known it. And it's hard at times to judge the decibels in that stadium because I don't know what the players are hearing at their level. So obviously, I think they hear it a lot because it's coming out at them, whereas we're among it. I mean, it always seems loud if you're amongst a group of singers, and I sing like hell, right? But that's different. So I don't know how to perceive it correctly for everywhere around the ground,
I think it's difficult. I think it's modern football, isn't it? It's that modern Premier League football. It's not singing for 90 minutes, and everything. The crowd is very reactionary to what's happening on the pitch. If the ref's having a bad game, then we'll let the ref know he's having a bad game, and it's all boos and cheers. But definitely, like when in that stadium, when the crowd is hot, it's hot. But it's not. We're not a crowd necessarily anymore that really. We will get behind the team when they're playing badly and try and spur them on, but it's not a full singing for 90 minutes.
No.
It's
the away crowd do though. The Spurs away crowd sing for 90 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. But away crowds are your hardcore. I think the problem is it's hard to say this, and this is getting into a whole different topic of stuff, but it's really hard for your hardcore fan, who is the one who makes all the noise, to be able to go every single game when tickets are costing 70 quid, 80 quid. And a lot of your hardcore fans have been priced out of being able to go. Plus, with 60,000 people, everyone, and no actual singing section or cheering section or whatever you want to call it, everyone's spread out. Whereas then the away fans, you're all in that tight compact area in an away stand, it's easy to get things going. Whereas you hear it when I'm in the South Stand, different songs coming from different places, no coordination, and I think that's always going to be a problem.
And we don't know what Matty Cash's experiences are at away grounds to say that was loud there.
Yeah, I think
it might have been quite flat in a lot of places. Villa have been.
I think it was McGinn. I don't think it was Cash. McGinn's the captain, isn't he? I think it was McGinn in his.
Oh, it might be McGinn then. Yeah,
I think it was McGinn. But let's talk about the subs because
probably loud for Cash because we're booing him.
Jose, you reacted. You raised this, and I mean, I must say, maybe you didn't see it in the ground, but if you were watching it on television, it was clear that Sonny was, first of all, astonished to have been brought off, and secondly, Jose, he was clearly, and maybe an understatement, he was clearly unhappy at being taken off.
Sorry. Yeah, to me it was a really weird one because I criticised him for the first half. I thought he was unfit, but then his first action in the second half was to set up that goal, the equaliser, and 5 minutes after that, or 6 minutes after. I think we scored in the 49th minute, and BBC are saying he was taken off after 56. I sure when I was watching it on Sky, it said 54 something anyway. But I was like, what? They're taking him off. He's actually in the second half. He's only played a few minutes, but he looks more lively than what he did for the whole of the first 45.
Yeah.
So I was a bit, and it's quite early to do a substitution 10 minutes into a half.
55, yeah.
Yeah, normally you've got the people normally do it 60, just after 60 minutes. But it seemed quite an early one. Not as early as doing one at half time, but if you're going to do one, unless there's an injury, it seemed a bit of a weird time to do it. And he actually made a double substitution because he took Bentancur off at the same time, didn't he? And put Basuma on. And I thought to myself, yeah, it made sense to me to bring Basuma for Bentancur. But when we brought Richie on, I thought to myself, and this is my own opinion, I thought with Werner had played well against City. And to me, I would have thought Werner would have been fitter than Richie because Richie's just coming back from injury. And then I also thought that Mikey Moore had a rest more or less against City after playing 2 90-minute games. And I thought to myself, if you're going to bring on people that are fitter, probably you've got Werner Moore before Richarlison. So the fact he brought Richarlison...
Don't forget, Werner got injured on the last game against City.
Yeah, he wasn't in the squad.
He picked up an injury.
Wasn't he on the size bench today?
He was in the squad today, but he picked up a slight...
Werner was definitely on the bench today. Definitely.
Yeah, but he did pick up...
You guys watched the end presser I sent you all.
He came up against City with a slight hamstring.
Then Mikey, I thought Mikey. Sorry, Adrian. I thought Mikey Moore then would have been fitter because he's played. Would have been fitter than Richarlison. So at the time, I found that weird that Richarlison came on. The guy like I said earlier, the guy can't catch a break because Richie, in his action to set up Solanke's goal, pulled his hamstring, and he's going to be out again, isn't he? So.
This was deliberate by Ange, though. I mean, I sent the presser out. I put it in loads of groups on WhatsApp and XCOM and all that. I had time to watch Ange's presser, and he said it always was my intention for Sonny to have like 55, 60 minutes max. So it seems 60. To me like.
But he clearly hadn't told Sonny that.
Yeah, true. That's the thing that confused me, which Ange does in some of his presses, and I think he's saving him for Galatasaray.
I think the thing is with it though, it was right at the point we were starting to press and get some reaction, and then all of a sudden you take the one player off that has suddenly come alive, and I think. Had it been 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, I think most of us would have understood the substitution. But at that particular moment, he'd just put in that cross. He'd just had a couple of touches where he'd come alive, and the team were on the ascendance, the team were attacking, and bam, you're bringing him off. And it was like, what? He didn't. I don't think it made sense to a single person other than Ange. But it worked. So bravo.
We had more aggression. We had more aggression on the left with Richarlison.
Adrian, let me bring you in then. Romero self-inflicted injury. Obviously, there's some bad blood between us and Villa with some of their tackles, and I just don't think Romero could resist, but. He got hurt and Davis came on, and I thought Davis was superb when he came on. And Biss for Bentancur. And again, I thought Biss was absolutely excellent. Another fresh pair of legs for that last half hour in the midfield, which is something I know Ange did a lot at Celtic, was replace his midfield runners to just give it freshness for the last half hour. Because having big engines in midfield is critical to the way he plays.
Yeah, Romero... As Ange said in the presser, Romero doesn't want to come off. He didn't want to come off against Man City. He is a warrior, right? And he said he had soreness in his foot. And I was impressed with him today. I thought he had a best game like midweek for us this season. And I was impressed with him. And he got his first yellow card this season, guys. 10 games, first yellow card. People say he's a psycho. You know what I mean? So... And but this time he must have felt something in his foot. Let's hope he's not done one of them little metatarsal bones or something like that, because like he actually didn't mind coming off, you know. So yeah, I mean, like I thought it was very good. I just want to mention Dragusin alongside him, who I thought played well. I want to see. We need to see Romero and Dragusin form a partnership, like we would need to see Dragusin and VDV form a partnership. So you need to see them play games together. I just want to see Dragusin show a bit. Very good in the air today, excellent in the air. Just want to see Dragusin show a bit more confidence on the ball. He was good at giving balls down the left-hand side, because he was playing on the left and all that. But at times, like VDV, they always look to Romero as the quarterback to pass the ball to him. I just want to see Dragusin, he gets more confidence in the side as being part of the team to make the plays from his position rather than have to square the ball to Romero all the time. Because teams will get used to that. I want to see a bit of variation. You know, so teams aren't always used to it. Our opposition aren't always used to it going through Romero all the time. Although most teams have a player like that. You know, Chelsea had it with Rudiger when he was there and things like that. You know, so yeah.
I don't disagree on that with Dragusin, but I mean, if you look at Dragusin stats at Genoa before he came to us, he was never a passer. He was never a progressor of the ball. He's that warrior defender that wins headers. He makes those last ditch blocks, and and I think he's been brilliant the last few games that he's come on. And I think actually now everything's calmed down. His agent seems to have shut up, and it all seems to be like sort of settling, and he's doing well. He's played on the right side of defence. He's played on the left side of defence, and I think he's done well at coping with both of those positions. But just obviously, like on the subs, it just makes me laugh because, you know, against Brighton, everyone was moaning that Ange didn't make subs early enough, and now we're moaning that Ange is making subs too early.
What he's doing, that's the problem.
It's just hilarious.
When you're in charge of a team in the Premier Inn Championship, then what do you expect?
Oh, I know.
Well, I was going to say he's a pub league manager, Soren.
No, it's not a pub league. We got demoted from that. We're in the Premier Inn now.
Yeah.
And then I heard comments around me. Oh, Davies is coming on. When has Davies put a foot wrong when he come on? He's not a sexy player, but he's always a 6'6.5", 7", isn't he? He's just solid.
He just does his job. He does his job, and his job is to be that player that comes on when he's needed. He's not going to play lots of games, so when he comes on, be solid. And he's doing that, and he's doing it with a smile on his face, and great. Like he's clearly not stirring the pot. He's not like making issues. I'm not his biggest fan, but nor does he offend me in any way, shape, or form.
He knows it's his last season. He's a pro. He's a pro.
Yeah, and you need players like that.
Adrian, isn't it? He's a model professional.
Yeah.
When has Davies ever let Tottenham Hotspur down? When has he ever let the club down?
If you go back to when Conte and Jose was here, he was the one that saved more goals going in with flying blocks and things like that than any other defender. And you can go back and watch streams. I was one of the few defending him back then. I still will. He hasn't got the pace, fair enough. And this system doesn't suit him as much. But when you bring him on, he will do his damned best in that position, and it's not very often he lets you down other than with a little bit of pace. I would much rather have him than some of the defenders we've had over the last few years. He would be my first choice compared to some of those.
Conte wanted him when he was at Chelsea before he even come to Spurs. Conte wanted him.
It's like we say, he's not a sexy player. He doesn't come from, Real Madrid or Spain or Germany. He's from Wales, and I just find it mind-boggling that we can always critique players that do everything they possibly can for this club without moaning, without throwing the teddy out of the pram, and you just look at it and think, oh well, he's mediocre. Well, maybe he's mediocre, but he's not our starting left back or centre back anymore. He's our backup, and he will do everything he possibly can when he comes on that pitch for that shirt. If only some of the other players could say the same.
He's not even first backup either.
Oh
no, he's backup, but he's not first backup, but he does his job perfectly.
Jose, I mean, you host a regular show. There is a breed of fan who thinks that your bench, should consist of, Messi, Ronaldo, Beckenbauer, Jack Charlton, Bobby Moore, that kind of quality. When in reality, what you need is good, solid, dependable players. If you haven't got some young players, which we're going to talk about, but young players coming through, you want solid pros like Davis who can come in and do a job for you.
The only time I can ever recall Ben Davis having a bad game for Tottenham was last year against Crystal Palace. The first half, he played left back and then he was booked at half time. And that's the poorest performance I've seen from Davis in a Tottenham shirt. And he's been with us for what, 9-10 years? 10 years, yeah. And that's the poorest performance I've seen from Davis. He was totally out at sea that day. He was getting absolutely roasted. His arse was getting handed to him. And I think that they said he'd come off with an injury, but injury or not, I would have substituted him because he was getting roasted that day.
But in 10 years, though,
that's right. That's right. It's his poorest performance.
You could expect to say, I mean, I don't know how many, but if you say he's played 300 games for us, out of 300 games, you could easily forgive 20 games that he hasn't.
Yeah, it's only once though I can remember.
Yeah. I mean, there will be more than one, but
I can't remember more than one. Sorry, that's the thing. I cannot.
To me, when I think about it, I can think more often where he did a flying tackle or a flying block under Conte and under Jose, and you just think, damn, he just saved us another goal. He's just saved us another goal. And he was the one that was flying in there to put his body in the way where others were just arms behind and turning their backs to the ball. And you think, that's the sort of player we want in our team. The ones that don't leave anything on the pitch when they come off.
Soren, and that Coventry game, when he put in that diving block, when we were 1-0 down, looked like we should have been beaten out of sight, right? Yeah. And he's come in and that sliding right in front of the goal. I mean, like, it's experience. He's got he's got the experience to do that,
Yeah. Let's talk about that, moving on then to the defensive partnership. I mean, one thing, I'm annoyed at Romero because that was a totally self-inflicted injury, but we know we've got no Van de Ven. Do you think we're facing a period of a few weeks now without Romero or Van de Ven? We've got an international break coming in a couple of weeks, thankfully.
I think someone put in a chat earlier that apparently Romero will probably miss the next 2 games and isn't going to go away on international duty, but I'll believe that when I see it.
He'll be fit.
Yeah, I mean, Romero's I've not been in love with Romero this season, if I'm honest. I think he's a great defender. He's a great player, but he just I don't know. He doesn't feel like he's fully committed to it this year. I don't know. There's just a bit about him that's been making me a bit frustrated. A few sloppy mistakes here and there, but I'd rather have him in the team than not. I hope he hasn't done anything too serious. I hope if he is injured, he doesn't go away with Argentina, because that will really annoy me if he does. But because we don't want another Lo Celso where we're basically just keeping them fit until they go on international duty. It's annoying, but and then Van de Ven's going to miss the games up until after the international break as well. But Draxler has been stepping up. Wow. Davis has been steady when he's come in and done everything he needs to. If we need to, we've got 2 games. We've got Galatasaray and Ipswich before the international break. If that's 2 games where we have to have Davis and Draxler, I'm fully confident that they'll be able to handle them 2 teams.
Yeah, sure. So, Soren, I was going to bring you in on exactly that point. Dragusin, having had a few games, is suddenly looking the quality player that we thought we'd bought.
I think that's what is always needed. I mean, we've said it a few times that, look, he's not going to start if the other 2 are fit, and he had to be patient. Now's his time, and it could be a case now that he makes himself undroppable. The problem is, over the last few games when he's come on, gets sent off straight away and does some silly mistakes. Now he's had a couple of games. I mean, the biggest worry for me is having both Romero and Van de Ven out again. Same time last season, it's just worrying with the injuries that we keep receiving and then how long that they take. But where Tom says, I think I saw it in the chat earlier where somebody said 2 games and the internet. It wouldn't surprise me, even if he's not playing, he gets on that plane and goes, because I think that's what the Argentinians seem to do, that they're there whether they're injured or not. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's suddenly a miraculous recovery over between the last game and the international where he can go and play. But look, I love Romero. I love the side of him that we saw today where there's just every now and again there's a reckless tackle or he puts everything on the line. I can forgive him for that because I don't want to take that out of his game, because if you take that out of his game, you lose the defender we've got. But yeah, Dragusin, if he needs to step up and shut his chuffing agent's mouth up a little bit, and
Lauren Manea, you never shut up.
Be
like
the defender.
A bit like me, he never shuts up.
Yeah, I mean, be the defender that we thought we'd bought, and show us now that he's undroppable. That's what I want from him. The worry I've got now is what happens if we lose one of them two now, either him or Davis. We are we're bollocksed again.
That's when you play your Puma in defence, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my old take on this is last year after we lost him, right? You had Davis and Emerson Royal at centre back, and we still got 5th spot, right? Now, I definitely believe that Davis and Dragusin are a better pairing than Davis and Emerson Royal.
Oh yeah, right? But if
what I like about, I mean, I need to see more of Dragusin's position. I've questioned his positional play. Even when I see him play well for Romania, he got caught out for 1 goal on the goal line and all that. He played everyone offside. He played Newcastle onside when Udogie should have been closer to Murphy, and Romero was there, and Porro was onside, and because he's not used to playing in that back 4, and he didn't seem to know whether to stick or twist, and he played everyone onside for that 2nd goal against Newcastle, right? So I've still got questions about him. I'm not going to say like he's a hero yet. I can see the quality in him. Today he looked superb in the air, right? And he did get some good passes down the left-hand side, right? But like I'm quite confident with a Dragusin Davies partnership if we have to do it against Galatasaray and even against Ipswich, because I just think it's a better pairing. I just think he's much more mobile than Emerson.
Adrian, what I wanted to ask you, and I'll bring you in and then bring Jose in, is 10 matches into last season, we suddenly got some injuries and the wheels really came off. Just at a time we've got some momentum again, it looks like we're picking up some really critical injuries. How worried are you by that?
I think the squad's technically better to cope with it, and we haven't had a chance to see Bergvall play a full 90 yet. Gray did. Gray played against, it was good to play against Man City. I mean, Matheus Nunes given a hard task, but he was okay. He wasn't brilliant or nothing like that. But I thought you've shown that you can do it in the Premier League on that performance. To me, I thought so, and we've seen him play at centre back, right? I don't know if whether Udogie could slot in there or not. He's tall enough to do it. He's a lump. I mean, we've done it before. I
thought Gray did very well when he came on for Udogie at left back.
I think, I mean, if one of those two gets injured, then I think it is definitely going to be Archie Gray that ends up slotting in at centre back. I mean, where's Dorrington with his fitness now? Has he been playing games?
He's back. He's been in the under-21s, yeah.
But the point is, he's not playing that well at this particular moment, and I like the player. Very good on the ball, very good going forward. Watched all the under-21 games last year, and but he did have the injury last year. He was out for a long time.
He'll be on the bench on Thursday, Adrian, and so will some others.
Yeah.
I think
you've got to remember, right, lads, we've got Galatasaray.
Phillips is at Stoke, so you aren't using him. Voskovic isn't coming in January.
Yeah, you've got Galatasaray on Thursday. If I was Tottenham Hotspur, and I'm not the manager, or the coaching staff,
God.
But if I was him, I would turn around with our injuries that we've got. I would look at not conceding the game, but not sending out our strongest side against Galatasaray and not even making players fly to Galatasaray. And I'd save some legs and some of our players for Sunday's game against Ipswich because 3 points are important. We have 9 points already in Europa. 15 points, there or thereabouts, will get you top 8. We've got 9 points. We've still got 2 home games to come. Win your 2 home games, that's your 15 points. I think we could go with players like Dorrington, Lancashire, Bergvall, Gray. You can get some of these youngsters and bleed them in. Galatasaray is going to be a hostile place, but I would relax. I would relax against Salah.
Not going to happen, Jose.
No,
not going to happen.
Andrew
will pick the strongest team he can for Galatasaray. He will. He will pick the strongest.
Well, I don't think sending the kids into Galatasaray's arena will be a good idea. It could destroy it because anywhere around there, Galatasaray and things like that, it's horrible. It is hostile, and those kids, if it's a proper kids team, will not cope with that. It's a cauldron. I mean, you've seen senior teams collapse in that arena. I just think put some kids in, definitely show them what it's going to be like, but it could be a horrible thrashing if we're not careful with that one. It really could.
He won't do that. And Andrew's always said, although he wants to blood these young players in, he's always said he's not going to rush it. He's not going to do it unless it's the right. He wants to put them in when he knows they're going to have a successful chance of doing it. He's not just going to put them in willy-nilly. We've seen that with Mikey Moore. He's doing it slowly. He's not rushing it. He's not playing him in every game. He's giving him 20 minutes here or there and then a start. He's not going to rush players. He knows that these players have got whole careers ahead of them. He's not going to destroy that for one game. So he'll play a very similar team to what he played against AZ Alkmaar. It'll be very, very similar, if not exactly the same, bearing in mind, obviously, the injuries we've got. I imagine it's going to be Archie Gray at right back. I'd say Dragusin and Davis will play centre back. Udogie will probably have to play left back. And then you'll see Basuma, Maddison and Bergvall, I imagine, in midfield. And then I could see Mikey Moore, Lancashire, and if Odebear's fit, Odebear.
Odebear's out. Odebear's out.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Werner, Tom, and not.
Yeah, it'll be Werner then. So he'll play Werner left. He'll play Lancashire up top, and then he'll play Mikey Moore on the right wing.
So Werner, who didn't get an opportunity to come off the bench today, and someone people have been keep telling me that he had a knock against Manchester City. So he's iffy as well. So there, Galatasaray, Turkey, full stop. It's 2 hours in front of us. Playing that 8 o'clock in the evening, it's 10 o'clock in their evening. By the time they finish the game, get to the airport, get back, that doesn't give them much recovery time. We're playing on Sunday. They won't be back to the early hours of Friday morning, and we play 48.
Yeah, kick off 17:45 our time. So it's 2 hours
earlier. Okay, yeah, okay.
All the away games are 17:45. The thing with Galatasaray, we know about their fan base. They were noisy as hell in a 30,000 stadium. Now I think they've got a 54,000 stadium, haven't they? Now, right?
Tottenham have got a 62,000 stadium, and they're noisy as well.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different over there.
And they look impressive on paper, Galatasaray. But you have to remember they've got Icardi and all that. But there's a reason Icardi's playing in the Turkish league now, right? Because these players are on the decline. The names in their teams look good. You think, oh, they've got this player and that player and that player.
They've got Davidson.
They've got Sanchez, yeah, but they're all
manager.
They got Nelson playing centre back, who people were telling me was absolutely brilliant as well at centre back.
Oh, they've got a good team. Like Galatasaray ain't.
Well, they're top of their league. They've only drawn. They've won all their games and drawn one.
Absolutely no way. No way should we be throwing this game just so we've got players fit for Sunday. No. Absolutely not. Like the reason
one will play.
One
will play against these.
It has knock-on effects. If we lose to Galatasaray, even if those players aren't the same players that are playing on Sunday, it still has a knock-on effect to what happens on a Sunday, and that's why actually being in Europe is, even if it's Europa League, is so much more beneficial to us than last season where we weren't playing Europe, because you get these few teams that you should turn over. You build good, positive mental attitude. Things you're doing in training are working on the pitch, and therefore that rolls over into the harder, more competitive games. We're not going to play our full strength 11, but we're definitely going to play a good team, and we should be playing a good enough team to win. And I want to win. I want to come top of the. Everyone from hearing, oh, you're only going to need like 12 points to qualify, 15 points for top 8. I want to come top, because as soon as you get to the next round, everything is seeded. If we come first, then when we get to the round of 16 or whatever it is, we're going to play the bottom team from the playoffs of that. Then we'll play the next bottom team. We won't meet a decent team until we get towards the semi-finals, depending on how obviously positions work. But the way it's done with the Europa League, you want to finish as high up as that table as you possibly can for seeding.
Soren, what sort of team are you picking in on Thursday? Because certainly the team that Tom's take is probably as strong as we're going to put out, given the injuries we've got at the moment.
Ian, I don't want to interrupt you and teach you to suck eggs. Can we do the man of the match for today's game?
Why?
Oh, I thought you had that lined up.
I haven't. Yeah. Well, we got on to Galatasaray. There was
No.
I was going to cover. There was other stuff, but we've been out about.
That'd be my fault.
But no. Well, it's not annoying.
I haven't got a running sheet, so it's my fault.
Yeah, well, I've got a running sheet, but you can't. I don't think I don't suppose.
I tell you what, it's about as professional as Tottenham Hotspur, this, isn't it?
That's fine, and you're going to be doing a preview show as well on Tuesday night. But let's talk about the man of the match.
Talk about Galatasaray.
We'll do that as well.
We'll do that as well. We'll talk about the man of the match, and I'll come back to Galatasaray. Man of the match, I'm going to give you 3 names who I thought were all outstanding.
There's only one name.
But I'm going to give you Dragusin, Solanke, and Sarr, who I thought were in a great performance.
Sarr all day long.
Yeah, okay.
Run about the man of the match from today.
Back to Galatasaray then, Ian.
I mean, I had chats at the beginning of the summer where there was, some talk maybe Sarr wasn't going to make it, that Sarr wasn't going to be good enough. I thought Sarr, that was by a mile his best performance in a Spurs shirt today.
Agreed.
I'm sorry I interrupted now. That's Adrian, what is he? Is he still only 23?
Yeah. Young, 22.
Same age as Dragusin.
Yeah. And our team on Wednesday, just for those of you in the chat, our team on Wednesday, the average age was 23 and Man City's was 26. Okay.
Yeah.
So when they come up with this kids joke, right?
But it was their C team. Come on, it was their C team. No title winners in that team at all. It was their C team. None of them are starters. Come on.
Whoa. Let's not go there. It's been a long evening. I've calmed down. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Look, while we're there.
Yeah. Who let the dogs out?
Look, man of the match against Galatasaray.
Ian, are we going to talk about Galatasaray or not?
Man of the match against Galatasaray is going to be.
Sorry, I think I was going to ask you about what team are you playing against Galatasaray?
So was that me?
Soren,
yeah. I'm a bit with Tom. I want to see a strong team because, look, the argument over the last few years has been Tottenham need to win a trophy, and we're not going to win the Premiership as much as we would all love that to happen. So let's be realistic now.
You mean the quadruple's not going to happen?
Pardon?
You mean the quadruple's not going to happen?
No, look, the quad's still on. The quad is still on, but obviously, it's being realistic. We are not going to win the Premiership this season. And one of the 2 cups that we are doing well in at the moment, which is obviously
the FA Cup, we're doing well in that one at the moment.
Yeah, no, the League Cup and Europe. We have a very good chance, and for me, we've got to keep it going. And that's why going away to Galatasaray, I think there's 2 things we've got to consider. We've got to put a fairly knowledgeable team out there because it is going to be hostile, it's going to be horrible, it's going to be hard work, and it's going to be a long night for our players. And if we can come away from there with a win, then we are on top of the world. If we come away from there and we've had a thrashing, it makes the Ipswich game makes it a different match. If they come from Europe with a win, those players will be ready to play again. If they come with a loss, they'll be down, and the legs will be tired and things like that. You get all the excuses then. And look, it doesn't matter anything else. We can't lose, because I can't go through another match where all the negative responses come out because we've lost a match. So we've just got to keep winning, because there's enough negativity about when we win, never mind when we lose. So I just want to see my team winning. And for me, I just don't see. I think there will be kids in the team. Obviously we're going to see Archie Gray probably play. We're going to see Bergvall play. We're probably going to see Mikey Moore start. I think we might see Lancashire start but then we might see Sonny start down the middle. The thing for me is we've got to rest Kulu, because I think he needs a rest. So that point means Maddison is starting. I don't see us dropping Papsar. I think he needs to start. And I won't be surprised if it's Bissouma starts alongside him. The problem is, we've got that many injuries now. We haven't got a lot where we can swap.
Look, there's going to be a strong bench. I think it's going to be the Curry and go. I still think Udogie starts. You're going to have Dragusin start anyway. It's a question whether Romero Davis is playing alongside him, right? Does Porro play on the right, or do you play Gray? Might go with Gray, because Gray doesn't bomb on like Porro, and you are away from home, so it's a bit more conservative. In midfield, I still see Decky playing. I see Basuma playing, but I also see Bergvall coming in, because he can put his foot in, and he's got a bit more of a dog about him than Maddison's got. I think Maddison will be safe for Ipswich, but we're going to have a strong bench up front. I think if Richarlison's fit, and he ain't, I think
not playing.
Sorry,
Richarlison's not playing.
Well, then it'll have to be Solanke, then, won't it?
Well, you can see today Richarlison's hamstring's gone.
I don't see why Johnson and Son don't play. We'll have a good bench. This is the beauty of it now. We'll have a good bench. You can bring Mikey Moore on. You can bring Lancashire on. It's not about... Fans have got this in their heads now. They're like, it's 11, the best 11. No, it isn't. It's the best 17. Because you've got 11 players, you're allowed 5 subs, and you're allowed 2 concussion subs in games. And there'll be 12 subs on the bench because it's Europa League and you're allowed 12 subs. So you'll have 12. So you've got 23 players. So of which, you can make 5 substitutions barring concussions,
Yeah.
So,
Jose, we haven't heard from you for a bit. What sort of team are you taking to Turkey?
How many subs you're out of? So you've got 23 players.
What team? Who are you playing? You're picking the team for Thursday.
You've got 23 players, and I'm telling you now.
Remember, the manager's awful. The players are awful. So it probably doesn't matter at all who you have out, because they're all crap, and we're going to get hopelessly outplayed, outnumbered, lose 12-0, and come back and get beat by Ipswich. But let's work on the basis that you're a bit more positive than that sometimes.
I reckon that out of 23 players, at least 14 of them will be youngsters. At least 14 will be youngsters.
How are you classifying youngsters?
Players under the age of 23.
So
you've only got 11.
22 and 362 days old.
I reckon we're pulling Lancashire. I reckon Dorrington. I'm in the 23-man squad. In the 23, so subs and first team, at least 14 will be youngsters. I reckon with Dorrington will be around. I think Lancashire will be around. The guy who's our captain in the under 21s at the moment, that guy.
Abbott.
Is it Abbott?
Just
another.
No, he's at Notts County. He's playing out of his skin. Just to add to that, the B
Oh,
list,
Tyrese Hall.
right?
Tyrese Hall,
B
he'll be
list,
in the squad as well. Yeah, Tyrese Hall will be in the squad as well.
right. The B list of players for Europa League games has to be announced. It's not a fixed thing. It's not cast in situ, right? Has to be announced 24 hours before the game, right? And they have to be players that have been with the academy 2 years, right? So there is a selection if Ange wants to bring them in, those that have been with the academy 2 years. And the list could be quite lengthy, but again, they've got to make up the 23 because you're allowed 12 subs.
I reckon that we'll be pulling a few of the under 21s in, is what I'm saying. In the 23, there will be a fair few under 21s. I don't think we're going to, with the injuries and with players being rested aside for the Sunday's game, right? I do not believe that Ange will go with, say, we've got 19 players left, right? I don't think he'll take all 19 with him. I think some will stay at home. I don't think he's taking everyone with him.
Oh no, I don't think he'll take everyone
but
with
then
him.
you've got the break from the 10th to the 18th of November. So like, why not? If these players are tired, I mean, like, if they were to get injured for international, who gives a shit? Because I care more about my club than I do internationals, right?
Yeah, I do as well. But you've got to look at their loads so far. So far, all these players are monitored, aren't they? At every club, they monitor the players, so they know what loads they're on. So when we saw Sonny come off and when we've seen other substitutions being made, we're like, ooh, and we're looking at it. They know what the player loads are. They know when players are in the green zone or in the amber zone and when they're in the red zone. They carry them contraptions on their backs while they're playing the match. So the analytics are there for them to see. They'll know that players do need a rest. They'll know that certain players won't have to travel. And my thought is that I think after what happened today and what happened during the week and the players that we've currently lost and the players with the loads on them as well, I think he's going to call a few under 21s in. I really do. But as for what a starting lineup is, I'd say to you, if I had a deck of cards in my hand at the moment and I threw them up in the air, it's the first 11 that I pick up off the floor. That's your team.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and because someone put earlier, if with the games next weekend, and I can't remember exactly what they are, but Villa and Arsenal and Liverpool, man, they're all some teams playing each other. That we could, if results go our way, we could be up to third next week, and I would have thought we could afford to lose at Galatasaray. I'm looking at the remaining games. Yeah, Roma at home won't be difficult, won't be easy. But
they got beaten again today. Roma are about 12th or 13th in the Italian league.
So
they're not the big
should
side.
Be winnable. Rangers away, even with a young side, should be winnable. Hoffenheim away should be winnable. Elfsberg at home should be winnable. I mean, we don't need to win. I take Tom's point about doing the best we can. But I would have thought of any of the games that we've had in this competition. Galatasaray away is by some distance the hardest, and we've just had a couple of difficult games. Man City and Villa. We got Ipswich at home with a big opportunity. To me, this is an opportunity to blood a few youngsters. And seriously, if we get beat, we get beat. I think we've got a problem at central defence.
What youngsters, Ian?
I'm probably going to play. I'm probably going to start with Forster because I want to give Vicario a rest. I'm going to play Gray at right back because I don't think we've got any option. Unfortunately, we got no cover at the back, so we're going to have to play Dragusin and Davis, and then I think we're going to have to play Udogie as well. And I would be worried about any of that back four getting injured. I really would. I'm then going to start up in midfield. I'm certainly playing Bergvall. I'm certainly going to play Bissouma, and I'm going to play Maddison because they're actually the second string at the moment. And I'm going to play Moore, and I'm going to play Werner, and I'm probably going to play Lancashire. I've got Sonny on my bench. I've got Kulusevski. I've got Johnson. I've got players I can bring on for half an hour and use it as a training run. But that would be my team. My worry is more first team starters getting injured.
My concern at centre back is if Romero's fit, I play him with Dragusin, and the reason I do that, and have Davies on the bench is because if Doggy gets injured, Davies can come in and play at left back. If the centre backs get injured, Davies can come in. If not, if Davies is playing with Dragerson and Romero's out, if we get a problem at left centre back or left back, we're screwed. We've got no one.
Yeah.
We've got no one to bring in.
But who are you going to play? I mean, we are down to bones.
I mean,
I'll play Romero because then I'll worry about the Ipswich game later.
Adrian, if Romero's got a slight knock, you leave him out and you play him against Ipswich, surely.
Yeah. If he's got a slight knock, then you rest him with the hope that he can come back for Ipswich.
Then I'd do what Jose did. I'd bring Dorrington into the squad because he can play left centre back and left back.
I agree.
I'd take Dorrington out with us, but I think you have to. I mean, the team that you named him was the exact same team that I named, apart from Foster for Vicario, which potato, if you ask me, in Europe against that team. But the most frustrating thing is we're talking about this. And, we have a perfectly fit and healthy fullback who's not even registered in the league. And that is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Change in January. If Werner goes, it frees up a European spot. Spence could come in.
Spence is injured at the moment anyway.
Yeah, he's got the knock. He had a knock, yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's not in the European squad.
I know. I mean, but it wouldn't have made a difference. That's what I'm saying, because he is injured.
I didn't know he was injured. I Twitter. I'm not on it. It's so. Do you not
read the chat on the WhatsApp group? You're one of these that just jump in and just remark left, right, and centre.
No. We have to move hell and high water to try and get a left back in January. It's got to be our priority. Got to be. As much as I'd love Eze, as much as I wanted Eze and a left back in the last window. We've got to get a left back in. We have to get a left back in,
or at least another left-sided centre back that can play
left back,
like a Hincape.
Hincape. Take Hincape. Yeah.
I'm back on the chat. I come in, I state my facts, I leave.
Don't you come at me with facts.
I think we'll end up going for Dorgo at Lecce, but he's only 19, 20, but he looks a talent. But I mean, because our profile is not to bring in players that are like 20, let's say 25, that you can give us 5-year and an extended year contract to. So we don't look to going for getting players in that are 28, 29. Otherwise, you could go for Bradley Lockwood or someone like that, a left back.
I agree, but I mean, we did buy Solanke, who's 27. So I think we will do it if the profile is
he
right.
Fits the system, yeah.
But I mean, January is, as we know, is notoriously hard to sign players in. So I think, but we've
been brilliant in January, though, haven't we, Tom? I mean, apart from Dan Juma, we brought Dele Alli in, we brought Mora in, we brought Decky in, we brought Bentancur in, we brought Porro in. I mean, actually, we've only brought 6. Well, apart from the double with Bentancur and Kulusevski, I mean, we actually have done very well in the January transfer windows, in my opinion.
Yeah, we do. You're just not going to find lots of players. It's just it's a notoriously hard window to get good.
It is. You got a month, haven't you? 30 days, and then you got to name your
Croatian lad come.
He comes in January. He's 17. He's playing absolutely out of his skin for Westerlo with Alfie Devines out there.
He's on a full season loan. He ain't coming back in. He ain't coming to us till the end of the season, isn't he?
I think he qualifies age-wise because you've got to be 18 before you can come to be able to come to us in January. We don't know what the loan deal is, right? Whether it is to January, whether we can just say no, we want him. But he may well go. He's 17, but he's built like all these kids now, like. They're 6'2". They look like they've been put in grow bags by their parents. You know what I mean? I mean, like they're units, and he's a unit as well, Vuskovic.
Okay, right. I think we've covered all we need to cover, and we're coming up for an hour and 59 minutes. And Adrian, you've got a preview show at Galatasaray on Tuesday night. So I don't know if you want to plug that.
Yeah, well, we'll do the 8:00 show at Galatasaray. We'll cover a few of the banners that are in here as well, because we'll have a different audience, obviously. And any other news that comes up between now and then, there's usually never a dull moment with Spurs. There's always something comes up.
Tell me about it.
So I mean, like, yeah, we'll go for it. And like, the shows are good. We're doing well, you know.
And Jose, when are we going to catch up with you again? I presume you've got your results show tomorrow.
No, because there's still games being played tomorrow. So the results show through work commitments. I don't know whether the results show would either be Wednesday or Thursday this week, and I'll do the next set of predictions on Friday.
Okay.
I'm not really planning. It's definitely not tomorrow because we've still got 2 games to play. We've got a league game, a Premiership game tomorrow, and we've got the last FA Cup game tomorrow as well.
Oh right, okay.
See you in the back room if we're going.
I'm sure everybody scored really well with Bournemouth beating.
Not here. I don't think. I think I've done disastrously this week.
With Bournemouth beating who? Man City.
Bournemouth yeah.
Tamworth beating Huddersfield.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people predicted the correct Bournemouth score.
How many did the Tamworth Huddersfield? That was a shock in the FA Cup. 1-0.
Tamworth Huddersfield. Only 2 people went for a home victory, but they didn't get the correct score. But they went for a home victory.
But they still get a point.
I think.
Yeah.
I think I've got one correct score, Liverpool, Brighton. Apart from that, I think I've done abysmally. But I don't know.
Harrogate Wrexham has thrown a load of people as well because Harrogate beat Wrexham today 1-0. So only 3 people predicted a home victory, but no one got the correct result in that either.
Is it a high scoring week, Jose?
What was the score? Harrogate beat Wrexham
1-0.
I
don't spoil the fun, Jose. Is it a high scoring week though or not?
There's some people in double figures. There are some people in double figures.
It won't be me.
There are some people in double. No, I don't think that people are right at the top of the tree. Although saying that, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say without looking at it. Where are you, Adrian? Let me look for you.
Look there.
Okay, you've been outscored. You've been outscored by the people that are around you. Have definitely outscored you so far. But whether that's enough to take them up, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just know nothing about football because my scores are just so awful.
No, what happened. I mean, the last couple of weeks I was top of the league. I'm top of the league there, but I did have a 5-point lead, so I'm not going to. If I drop, it'll probably be like a few places. I don't think.
Ian. So far, with 2 games to go, Ian has more points than you, Adrian, and so do I.
All right. So yeah, but you're lower than me. You're way down, so you ain't going to catch me.
But Ian and I are both below you in the table, but we're both on the panel.
Well, everyone's below me in the table.
I can only confirm that me and Ian have outscored you so far this season.
Yeah. I know I've got the Liverpool result, and I might have got another. I might have 5 points. I think some shit.
I don't know what I said there, Graham. Nita, sorry if you had to drop out. We unanimously took about 2 seconds to all vote for Sarr. All of us. And I thought, I think I made the comment that nobody disagreed with that. That was Sarr's best performance in a Spurs shirt and probably by some distance. So, Rob Bear's knocked me off the top spot. Yeah.
Two people had.
Yeah, I've had a cold coming on for a few days, so I did, Graham.
two people had the correct Tottenham score.
Right. Okay. Look, it's been a really lovely show tonight.
Yeah, that's understandable. 3-1, 4-1, did they? So it's 4-1.
Two people.
A lot more had 3-1.
Yeah, loads.
I had 2-1 to Spurs today, but I was still delighted when we scored more.
When Maddison scored the 4th one to make it 4-1, and I lost my prediction, I was saying, "Come on, you get a 5th. We want more."
Yeah,
it's good fun. Though. I'm getting nosebleeds being at the top. I mean, like, how that happened, I don't know.
Celtic beat Aberdeen 6-0 in the Scottish League Cup semi-final yesterday, and there are people complaining that the referee didn't play any stoppage time. Now, this is in a cup game because someone had 7-0 on a bet. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's seriously. Right. Anyway, Adrian will be back on Tuesday. There will be a show Friday. It's one I never managed to make, and I'll be back next Sunday, hopefully with another inspiring panel of guests and Adrian. So there you go. Thanks for that, Adrian. All it's left for me to find a nice way of going out today.
It's thanking the guests and those in the chat.
Let's say a big thank you to Soren, a big thank you to Jose, and a big thank you to Tom, as well as Adrian. And I think we will go out.
Don't thank me, just throw fivers.
We will go out with this. See you in the back room in a few minutes, guys.
Let's go!